Hey y'all, we're out in the garage, the RPM machine shop. We got the little lathe running. It's just temporary. The controls here. What I'm going to do is weld some round plates on the bottom, and then either bolt them or weld them. I didn't know where I was going to want them, but the motors are all secure. Everything I used to mount either one of these motors was already here. This actually had two more pieces of angle coming off this way, and were bolted on the bottom. And I don't know, whoever put this thing together used it with the bottom half of this here, the top half of this here, mounted onto it and pivoted, and it was not RPM correct. So here we are. We made a little turnbuckle out of an old tie rod. So it's got left and right thread. So there you go. When we welded it together, we welded a ball in the middle, and then ground it halfway around, slid a nut over top of it, and then just kind of spot welded it from the bottom side there, so we can adjust it. We bought longer belts to move the motors further away from the bed of the lathe and everything. At first. And it's all started high school. It's all starting to come back to me now, right? At first, I was really bummed out. I went in and told the wife. I said, "I think I wasted Richard's money." Me, I don't care about spending my money, but Richie went in half on this thing with me, and we took that full day, which is still cool, out cruising around like we did, a little road trip. But I got it tuned up now. That first day, as you can see. I had to put some shims in here to get things up to speed. When I took it all apart, I think what I realized is a lot of these parts don't belong to this machine. This chuck doesn't belong on here. The skinnier, smaller chuck does, and it has a smaller spindle. The spindle doesn't have any bearings. It's got bushings, and this here was put in as an afterthought to use this bigger chuck and the bigger diameter spindle. When the modifier of this machine tapped the cast iron here to put this bit in, and it's like a collet, right? It's got saw cuts in it, and this nut actually will tighten it down or loosen up that collet bit. They cracked it. It cracked, and they actually welded it back together because it's probably a pipe type thread, right? It's tapered. So this one here, it's a good wide bushing, and it's good and solid. The downside is the bushing on the end is one of those, I guess you'd call it a bronze, right? The stepped bushing deal you get at the hardware store, and the tolerance in it isn't real good. So if you try to hog metal off, especially being out this far, and of course I know this isn't correct, but this doesn't fit into here, and I really had no other way to support this end. Tom, in Tom's defense, the guy that sold it to us, he did tell us if you run anything out here more than an inch or two at the most, you're going to need to use end stock. It's a hobby lathe, right? You're not going to do super accurate stuff, but compared to what we were doing in the drill press. And the big half inch drill clamped in our vise, this is not so bad. It actually is kind of tedious and takes, it seems, a while longer than we expected. But I'm going to go ahead and fire this thing up and show you what we got going. Here I'm about 50% speed. I mean, we're going to run it a bit quicker. So that's your spindle speed, right? It'll actually go forward and reverse. I actually got to turn that thing around, and you can just kill it. You can shut it on and off. You can actually turn it on and then use what it says brake, which is neutral. It's off. I don't like to do that. That's why I'd rather use the on off because it doesn't hit as hard. And then the crossfeed. Is same deal, right? We ain't got a lot of room in here to play around, so we're gonna continue going right. Sometimes you got to turn it up to get it moving, right? See it, so we'll go back the other direction. and see what we got going. We try to run it real slow. We're going to speed this bad boy up. We got this running relatively slow, and we just watch it as it makes its way all the way down to the edge. Then we'll just come over here and hit it back to the right. We don't even shut it down, and just come right back. And here she's got a little chatter to her, but it's probably got a lot to do with the length of this thing here, you know. It is what it is, folks. We're not going to get too crazy about, you know, being technical. We're not going to be cutting parts that need to be, you know, within 1,000th or 3,000th or whatever. We're playing around with making stubs to hold the front porch onto the chassis of the porch cart here. So we've already made the first one. It's not rocket science. I mean, it's not going to the moon, right? So where it's not cutting here is obviously a bit of chatter, I guess. I don't have the up-close glasses on, so we're going to send it right back the other direction. And there's another thing. When it goes back the other direction, this whole thing seems to not move just a little bit to where it's not really making contact. You'll see is it doesn't really, so it only really cuts in one direction. So we start out here, we do our adjustment for feed, you know, and then we'll go ahead and hit the cross feed, and we do pretty much all of our cutting going from the end in. So that's it. There's mini lathe. We'll get it. We got the plate. We'll get the corners rounded off and deburred and whatever, and get this stuff mounted up and painted black or orange or whatever. We just wanted to get these two parts for this front porch for the cart done. Richie's got the front porch itself at work. Actually, part of the tip of the porch at the very front was actually ground down from making contact with the track from the guy we got it from. So Rich is welding that all up and metal finishing it again, building up the wall of that tube, and then he's removing all those little bits and pieces that we wanted removed and metal finishing. He's removing the bumper and doing a little metal finish in there too. Here's when we get to the end here, we'll go ahead and just shut this down. But he's removing the bumper as well, and cleaning up the slag, you know, clag from welding on the bumper and on the porch itself. And then we're just going to make new uprights and weld it all together. It's just going to make it easier for fitting the thing up, because it looked like it had been bent, like it was in a wreck or something. The bumper not only was not parallel this way, you know, side to side, it was also not parallel this way. It was actually, I'm exaggerating on it, quite an angle. So Richie's getting that all fixed up while we're cutting these stubs. That way we get this stuff out of the way, and we can get this contraption out the door over to Richard's, and he's gonna cut up some legs and whatever, and make up the table for it, you know, the stand for it and stuff, and we'll get it over there. But you know, we can finish the mounting of these things here and rewiring everything later. Just right now, we needed these pieces done, so that's why we went ahead and used it before getting it completely finished. But that's it. Hey, not bad. Hey, zip ties holding the old feed motor on. Had to drill some holes in the plate to get through and to be able to tighten these down. So we put the tension on the belt that we want, you know, not too tight, and then tighten those down. That's really all it's holding it. Really, we needed a turnbuckle for this one though. So there you go. You know, little day trip. Couple of maybe $450 tied up in this thing, you know, $475, something like that, and we got something that we can play with. So Buddy Tom, if you're looking in, excuse me there, folks, if you're looking in, thanks a bunch. We're not getting too technical with this thing, or you know, we knew what it was when we went to go get it, and and the price was right. So there you go. She looks good. She's orange. Hang in there, folks. We're praying for you.